Welcome back, viewers. You are still tuned into Prime Live. Africa4Palestine has welcomed the criminal investigation into 22-year-old South African Aaron Bayhack by the Hawks for his involvement in the ongoing genocide of Palestinians by the Israeli regime. The 22-year-old Aaron, from the Sandton area, was recently exposed by an Al Jazeera investigation for openly admitting and celebrating the targeting and killing of innocent Palestinian civilians in Gaza. I'm joined now by Africa4Palestine Communications and Campaign Manager Alie Komape. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for joining us once again on Prime Live.
Alaikum salam, and thank you for having us.
Thank you for joining us on this conversation. I think there's a lot to unpack and to navigate. So thank you for joining us so that we can unpack and understand everything that's going on. But just to get our conversation started, what do we actually know about the IDF elite sniper, the ghost unit, and how many Palestinians at the present moment do we estimate that they have killed thus far?
We know very little, but also we know a lot. This elite sniper team, you'd call them executioners, are known for targeting Palestinian civilians, children. They are known to kill them, execute them on the spot. They are known to take footage of them doing this, and they celebrate it. This unit is well known globally. They run some type of covert operation type of thing. Investigations by Palestinians and by journalists estimate that at the very least, 100 Palestinians were targeted and summarily executed in Gaza. So that's what we know about this murdering squad.
I mean, the statistics you shared now are completely alarming. And, you know, I'm not surprised that we're starting to talk more about them. And it's actually terrifying, just the idea that South Africans are involved in this kind of mass slaughter and murder. It's very disheartening. It's almost very anti-South African for someone to go and actively participate in a genocide. It's very, you know, against everything that makes you a South African. And I want to talk a little bit more about that. I mean, we now know that the Hawks are now trying to investigate into this 22-year-old that was part of the IDF and actively part of a genocide. Can you talk to us a little bit more about how the Hawks actually came to find out about this young man who was actually part of the IDF?
When the expose was out by Al Jazeera, South Africans noticed him. Those who know him said, "But that's Aaron," and sounded the alarm. So a number of South Africans across the length of breadth of our country went to their nearest law enforcement centers and made complaints. We know in Cape Town there was a lot of those. People went to police stations to lay criminal complaints. So the Hawks here, they are responding to criminal complaints from South Africans, concerned South Africans who said, "But this, you can't do this." But also, don't think about the Israelis. I'm not sure if it's being stupid or they just can't think. The Hawks, the evidence is there to see because they post them on social media. You know, Aaron posts on his social media wearing the IDF uniform and whatnot, and you know, it doesn't take much of an investigation to kind of like know that he's a member of the militia, the Israeli militia. He's a member of that death squad unit. So they kind of like snitch on themselves type of way. So the Hawks, of course, from the criminal complaints, but the evidence is presented by Aaron himself to them that, "Hey guys, this is what I'm doing."
I think it's encouraging actually to see that South Africans are, you know, taking it upon themselves to report these kind of things to the SAPS. It's very encouraging to see that South Africans are wide awake and are paying attention to, you know, the atrocities that are taking place, and then also holding South Africans who are participating actively in that genocide accountable and saying, "Not in our name and not on our land and not by South African name will you continue to do this." But like you said, it is an investigation. However, like you also mentioned, there is very clear evidence against these people who are doing these things because they're boasting about what they're doing and they're proud of the genocide they're inflicting and they're proud of the lives that they're taking. So we see them posting posting it on social media. But what is your call to action to South Africans in terms of either assisting the investigation or continuing action like this if you see somebody you know or who lived in your community who is actively participating in the genocide against Palestinians? What is your call to action to them?
Firstly, South Africa has a well-established set of laws that criminalizes participating in foreign militias. It's a crime, right? Let's just start there. So it doesn't matter what the degree of the crime of that militia is elsewhere. And there have been cases before where South African mercenaries were called to be arrested. When Nosiviwe Mapila Ngagusa was the Minister of Military Veterans, Minister of Defense, she called for other mercenaries to be arrested on this when they came to South Africa. When Naldi Pandor was Minister of International Relations, she called on them to be prosecuted. They said, we are planning to prosecute. So there are a set of laws criminalizing this. And people should report them to their nearest police station. If you see or you know someone who has either participated before or it's participating now in the Israeli militia, you go report them to your nearest police station and you follow up. We believe that this criminal investigation to Aaron was long overdue, right? We've got cases, records of people who have participated in the genocide bombardment in 2014 in Gaza. Those who go for basic military training in Israel, we know there's nothing basic about it. It's human rights violations they inflict in that particular period. We know them, and some of them, like you said, they are proud and they say it. Someone who's a popular Jewish writer in the Jewish Report, he's one of them, and we name these people. So the Hawks must start with Aaron, and then once they've started, everyone must take stock of everyone, and they must all go to jail.
Now, I also want to talk about the press release by Africa4Palestine, and in that press release, you guys actually, like you said, name and shame the long list of people who have gone to Palestine from South Africa and actually participated actively in that genocide. Can you talk to us about a little bit more about what are the options in terms of prosecution and accountability? Are there any examples as yet in South Africa of anyone who was part of the IDF and came back home thereafter? Are there any prosecutions just as yet, or are we hopeful that there will be soon?
We do not have, to the best of our knowledge, we have not had a case before like this, and this will be the first. But like I said, South Africans have had enough. For instance, the South African government has taken the Israeli regime to the International Court of Justice, charging it with the crime of genocide. South Africa is now providing evidence to the International Court of Justice in The Hague on that particular issue. Why would you go to The Hague and charge Israel internationally, but you can't deal with your domestic citizens who are participating in this? South Africa has had enough, and there is a legal framework for it. And I know that tightly in the background, South African lawmakers in Parliament have been looking into strengthening this legal framework to prosecute them. So we, to the best of knowledge, we haven't seen or heard of a case before like this, but we are confident that they have a rock-solid case when they do prosecute.
Now, we know that in South Africa, despite having all the evidence available, we don't have the greatest track record when it comes to prosecuting people who have actively participated in a foreign militia, like you said. So when it comes to the case of Aaron, I know that it's gaining a lot of social media traction now, and a lot of people are talking about it, and rightfully so, because that's what we need. We need people to know about it, and we need people to know that people like this still exist in South Africa that are, actively participating in taking lives of children and innocent people in Palestine. But are you confident that with the case of Aaron, we will find some sort of accountability and justice for his actions?
Of course. I mean, let's not even try to complicate things. South African law says don't steal. If you're caught stealing, you get prosecuted, you go to jail for it. It's written there, black and white, on paper. It is written. It's the law is written. you are not allowed. It's a criminal offense. So this is for us, open and shut case. There's no complicated. There's nothing complex that we see here. They must just take the names of the people that we know, and I know that our counterparts in Cape Town have got a list of over 70 names that they've submitted to the National Prosecuting Authority, and the NP has done nothing to this stage. There's something called the Gaza docket. That's the names of South Africans who participated in the 2014 bombardment of Gaza, and the NPA did nothing. So there is framework. The laws, they broke the law. It's very simple.
It's disappointing to see that the law is very clear. However, how our government has chosen to handle it, particularly in the case of 2014, was a complete disregard of the law. And like we were talking about earlier, it's almost extremely anti-South African to even put your hand in something like this. I mean, we fought on the very same premise of the freedom that we enjoy today, only to go and inflict pain and suffering on another country, on brothers and sisters across the world and across the continent is absolutely disgusting. And just the idea of how many you have mentioned, over 70 people, actively decided to go and participate in the IDF is absolutely alarming, and it's something that, breaks me to my core to think that South Africans would actively participate in something like this. And something you alluded to a little bit earlier is that the lawsuit that is being inflicted rather by the Dutch human rights lawyer, which is being inflicted on 1,000 IDF soldiers at the moment. Can we look forward to, do you believe, some private prosecutions against the IDF soldiers again, to be able to gain momentum around the world when it comes to, taking accountability and actually personally prosecuting these people?
Yeah, look, I think the world is beginning to wake up. They're beginning to appreciate the simple facts that Israel is a pariah state. Israel is a terrorist group. Israel is a threat to the world order. And the people are starting to wake up to it. States and governments are starting to wake up to it. Let's look in Europe, like you said. It's interesting what's happening in the Netherlands. 1,000 IDF, 1,000 citizens of Holland who were part of the Israeli militia are going to be prosecuted. In Belgium, coincidentally enough, there's a prosecutor in Belgium who's prosecuting one of the Belgians in Aaron's team. So he is going to prosecute him, take him to court through their own laws. You look at France. France has refused to sell arms to Israel during this genocidal campaign. So even states in Europe or in who you would think would support Israel, amongst other things, from the emotional blackmail of the Holocaust and so on, they refuse to do it because they can see Israel for what it is. So when South Africa is doing this, Holland is doing this, Belgium is doing this, we are hopeful that a number of countries will look at what these countries are doing and follow in the same steps.
I mean, as a leading country in the ICJ and at The Hague, I think South Africa is yet to follow suit in the footsteps of those European countries that are actively prosecuting these people and holding them accountable. And I think, like we were talking about off air, it's not enough just to speak about how much you stand with Palestine and how much South Africa as a country is standing with Palestine. We need to take bigger strides and take bigger steps by prosecuting the people who are actively participating in the genocide. We need to pull Israeli companies out of South Africa, and we need to put our money where our mouth is and really take active steps moving forward. But before we let you go, are you able to share with our viewers Africa4Palestine social media handles where they can stay in touch with you guys and find out all the latest news and developments on social media platforms?
Yes, we are on X or Twitter. We are on Facebook and Instagram. If you have any tip-offs, please just DM us or just put it in the comments on whatever post we have, and then we'll take that further. We're looking for active citizenry from South Africans to snitch on these criminals who are murdering Palestinians, who have murdered Palestinians. So they can contact us on those platforms, leave a comment, leave a DM, and then we'll definitely get back to them.
Absolutely. I think, a lot of the time, everyday South Africans don't feel very empowered in terms of what they can do for Palestine. But you've absolutely left a call to action, and you've encouraged South Africans to be active citizens and actively participate in assisting the prosecution of these people. So thank you for joining us this evening and helping us unpack the chaos that this is, that, unfortunately we have to deal with the idea that there are South Africans out there who are taking innocent lives on a day-to-day basis, and like you said, are very proud to do so. But it is in our hands now to be able to make sure that they are caught and they are held accountable. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Viewers at home, that is Alie Komape from Africa4Palestine. Please do reach out to them on their social media platforms, either via DM or leave them a comment. If you have any information on anyone who might have been involved previously or is currently involved in the IDF and who is actively participating in a genocide against the people of Gaza and Palestine. So do leave them any information that you might have on anyone who is actively participating. I know we always feel very helpless when it comes to what is being inflicted on the people of Palestine, but here is your unique opportunity to be an active citizen and to be part of the change. So if you do have any information, please do reach out to them. And if you'd like to stay informed about any updates, please do also reach out to them on their social media platforms and give them a follow. On that note, it is time for us to head over to an ad break, and we'll come right back.